my Sparks of Joy. Today we're talking about the new moon that is coming up on August 18th. For Denver time, it will be here about 8:41 p.m. So a new moon represents when the light doesn't reflect off of the sun, so we visibly can't see it in the sky. But energetically, it has so much meaning. It's about going into that deeper sense of awareness, that deeper part of ourselves. Like I see it like when we plant seeds into the deep, dark ground, they need that cover of darkness to kind of be able to break up from their casings to move forth. And same with our intentions and manifestations. They always say on a new moon is a great time to start bringing that forth, to set these intentions, to plant them, to nurture them and grow. So this is the time that we're calling forth today. And adult things that we have to keep on top of, like bills, kids, our house, our cars, our jobs. And we forgot in all those pieces of how to go enjoy our playfulness. And so I encourage you now to, when you step and go do things, think of it and start trying to look at it the aspect of a child. How would a child move through this? How would a child engage in this? And have fun. Like, don't care what other people think. Have fun with it. Be joyful. One of my favorite new things is painting. Just getting out and paint. And it's for me. It's not for anybody else. It's my expression. And it's for my personal piece of stepping into that joy of seeing something really colorful coming out on the canvas. And whether it has any kind of picture or not, I'm not tied to it. I'm just expressing and just letting it flow the way it needs to flow. And I have to tell you, there's been some ones that I'm like, ooh, that wasn't pretty. But I had fun doing it. And that was the meaning of connecting to that energy. It wasn't about the total outcome. It was just being in that moment and in that section and, having that intention as I was painting and expressing that out. So this is a time for us to really reap the rewards of our manifestation and our intentions with this new moon and to moving forth with the energy. And what does that look like? So the energy right now could almost feel like when a kid is learning how to drive a stick shift. You're going and then it's jerky and you stop and stall. And then you get going and you're jerky and you stop and stall again. And that's kind of the energy that's been going on in this cycle. And it's learning, okay, to restart this engine, let's get going. It's okay, we're gonna be a little bit jerky. Let's just, as long as we're moving forward in a safe way. So each zodiac sign rules a particular body part, and Leo rules our heart, and our heart is our center. It's our core. And we can go to the recent research studies that support this. Our heart's electromagnetic field is bigger than our brain and the rest of our electromagnetic field. It can reach out up to 3 feet away, and then studies are even thinking it's probably even bigger than that. And that's phenomenal. If you go and check out HeartMath program, they do a lot of energy work around this heart center and around how to bring coherence and de-stress, and how you can even work with this whole heart center to even bring your blood pressure down, your heart rate, to come to a center of being and stillness. So some little facts about our heart. So the heart is the first organ to fully function after conception. It's usually within the first 20 days. But the brain, it takes up to 90 days. So there's a huge difference. I told you that the heart is the center, the heart is the core. The information tells us the brain is probably secondary to the heart. Isn't that cool? So we have to really work on this heart things, and I'll put a link that you guys can copy and paste at the end of this so you can check out some of these studies around the heart. So like I was talking about the HeartMath things, they were talking about this electromagnetic field is 5,000 times greater in strength than the field generated by the brain. 5,000 times greater. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that just like make you go, right? The energy of the heart not only envelops every cell of the human body, but also extends out in all directions in the space around us. So what does that tell you? It's connected to all of it, all of our cells, all the energetic fields in our space. So that means our aura, our meridians, our chakras is all connected to this heart center. Our cardiac field touches those within 8 to 10 feet where we are positioned and pass more subtle ways in greater distances. Wow. They can technology search the 3 feet. Can you imagine that? But they think it goes even further than this. And I'm just astonished, like how powerful our heart center is. One person's heart signal can affect another's brain waves, and heart-brain synchronicity can occur between two people when they interact. And I've experienced this. In our Mexica Lodge, we had to sit down and we, had our hands on one person's heart and holding the other one, and our breathing would connect, and then all of a sudden you could feel your heartbeats simultaneously connecting. And then that's when we would go into the talking piece, or the heart space they would call it. And it was amazing. It was phenomenal. But it takes a lot to get there, because you got to get out of your head and you got to just let it flow. And you can't control the kind of stuff. And so that's what I really learned when we do any heart chakra work. When you let go of control, that's when these pieces can come in and work. So one way I want to talk about how we can go into this coherent state is the heart-centered breathing. And then this is something like I did and I did it through my work through the Heart Math Institute. They actually came in and they worked with all of our co-workers, and we did a 3-day retreat that we focused on this energy and learned how to work it, and then how can we apply it into our lives, into our work. Because when you were a charge nurse in hospice, you dealt with really critical issues, and it can get stressful, and you're dealing with people in one of the most difficult times of their lives, and so that can be really emotionally charged. And so how do you not only keep yourself balanced, and then you had to keep your employees balanced, but also the family's balanced? And so that would be a lot of weight sometimes, and so you would feel overwhelmed and stressed and consumed. And so this was a great, when this tool was offered to us, it changed a lot of the way I moved forward with things and the way I do. And so breathing has become such an integral part of my self-care, my self-management. I can't control what happens around me, but what I can control is how I respond. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm absolutely not. There's times, anger and other things, irritation or sadness still can consume me. But it's learning it doesn't sit as long as it used to. It's learning to go into a place of forgiveness and asking for forgiveness if I ever stepped out of those boundaries. And so this is a tool that I hope that you can use. And I'll have a printout on my website that you can download that gives you all the directions and how this looks and moves forward. But this piece, since I don't want to mess up anything, I'm going to read these pieces and directions and how to do it, to go into this coherent state of connecting to our heart center and bringing down those cortisol levels in our body, and how we can get and express our needs and intention from this space. Okay, so first I want you to focus your intention right onto the area of your heart. It's right in the center of your chest, so just like right in here. And I want you to kind of place your hand over the center of your chest, and to keep in mind your attention's right into your heart area. And step 2, we're going to move into breathing. And I want you to breathe in deeply, normally, and feel your breath move in and out. And this next breath, as you move in, I want you to see the breath coming in through your nose, down, right into the center of your heart. But then at the same time, as you're pulling in that beautiful energy and essence right into the center of your heart, I want you to think a very joyful thought or memory, and we're going to hold that there. We're going to hold it as long as we can with that memory. It can be your kids' laughter. So that could be your kids' laughter, your dogs playing, you being out in your favorite place in nature through hiking or camping. It could be you jogging or running. It could be, your time that you spend with your best friend, just laughing and giggling. Pull in that joyful memory and hold it in your space. And then we're going to do a long release. So let's go ahead and practice one, okay? Let's breathe in, pull in that beautiful memory and hold it right there in the center of your chest. See it swirling inside your mind's eye. And now release. Let's do another one. Breathe in, hold in that beautiful, thoughtful memory right in your heart space. And then release. They actually use this technique with policemen, firemen, people in the military when they're under stressful duress or situations. It helps them keep those cortisol levels and it keeps them balanced and centered to make appropriate choices. So use this tool, use this prana life force energy as we take it into our lungs and connect it to our heart center so then it can expand to all the pieces of our energetic field into our physical body. Use these resources to kind of help move us through. And so why am I introducing this for the new moon? Well, I'm introducing this for when we set and move into intention, do it from a clear space of mind. Don't do it out of a reaction out of stress or out of fear because you're uncertain of the unknown. Do it out of a place that's heart-centered, so it's more grounded, it's more rooted, and that the energy can really grow and manifest forward into your life the way it does. So when we have fears or we are doing it at a place of unknown or uncertainty and anger, wherever we're making these choices from, it'll be like that car that I was talking about earlier, that we can stall it. But when we step into it from a true place of heart, it can't stall. The energy is so strong and so expansive that it moves us forward and explodes it out there for it to manifest and call forth. Dr. Emoto, who is now passed, but he did, and his foundation still continues to do this work around vibrational shifting with the energy of sound and vibrations and how we can change like water molecules. He has a whole book and it's called The Healing Powers of Water. And I encourage you to read that. And it talks about how they use, certain frequencies and vibrations. So like the sound of hate, and how hate changed the water molecules and made it disharmonious. And you'll see the pictures that I'm going to put up here of how these disharmonious words like hate, anger, disgust, all these different words carried a lower vibration and disharmony even in its crystals and pictures. And I'll show you those pictures up on the screen. And then when he did the words and the vibration of like harmony, joy, connection, they were these beautiful crystals that came together in harmony and balancing. And so if we can do that with water, what can we do with our own body, our own space? We can utilize water as a tool to help us shift our energy, to help it raise it to a higher vibration, to set these intentions that we're moving for. And that's what this whole energy and ceremony we're going to do today is all around charging our waters with our intentions and seeds and then taking it in. So it just not is out there and our intention out in this space, it's embodied into our physical body as well. Okay, so this one was calling forth a water ceremony. And I tend to love to work more with fire. So water is really calling for us in this aspect to move into the ceremony. But why water? Well, you got to look at our planet. Most of our planet is covered in water. It's life force energy. We can live longer without food than we can with water. We are made up of 70% of water. Water is a major tool of manifestation, shifting, and change. It can do several different embodiments. It can be, a solid, it can be a liquid, it can be a vapor. It can go into all these different aspects and do the shifting and changing and transformation. And water is also connected to emotions. Emotions carry a water energy, because when you think of water, it can not only be this gentle little stream that's coming off the mountains, it can also be very destructive and harsh, and can tear things apart, right? So energy has this huge, expansive field that we can work around, but we also can harness this energy for the potential of these seeds that we want to implant, and use the energy and guide it with water to manifest that in. So they have been working with me with water. I've been literally doing more personal work with water. They've been having me charge water, my own personal drinking water, with sound vibrations and beautiful rose quartz in my water. If you ever do classes with me, I always do some kind of charged energy water that we drink from, because we can change and shift those water molecules. So this ceremony, you're going to need 2 glasses, and I always prefer glasses, or if you have some kind of crystal or copper, anything that's anything but plastic you want to use. You can use wood, you can use whatever you're called for. I tend to use glass, just because it's clear and I can see what I'm doing. We're going to work with rose quartz, and I'm going to give you a little bit of information around rose quartz. Rose quartz is the stone of universal love. So if you ever come and do a session, I give rose quartz like water, because it's such a heart stone. She brings in such beautiful energetic support to that heart space. It restores trust and harmony in relationships and unconditional love. But when we think of unconditional love, we tend to think of unconditional love with others. But no, it's really about unconditional love for ourselves and the way we walk. She purifies and opens up this heart space so we can do this work. She brings a deeper connection for your friendships, your relationships with others, and especially with your relationship with yourself. And also she brings this beautiful energetic hug when people are grieving. So she's one of the stones that I love to work with when people are going through a place of grief. And any of the stuff that I work with, my heart chakra usually has some component of rose quartz in it, whether it's an essence or actually rose quartz in it, because it really does do that beautiful heart support and connection. She also encourages self-forgiveness, right? We are our own worst, judgment. We project so much judgment on ourselves. We beat ourselves up over and over daily. And she really helps kind of help you step and move into forgiveness for our choices and actions. And I always say, shame and guilt is not meant for us to carry as armor, is not meant to be weighed on our shoulders and for us to carry for eons and eons. It's meant to say something needs to change. It's meant to say the path you're walking, it's time to go on to a new path. It's not meant for you to keep wearing it as your armor. And so that's why I love rose quartz, because she's there to remind us to be gentle, to move into a graceful way with not only the way we treat ourselves, and that's through self-care, through the food we take, the water we take in, the energy practices that we develop with ourselves, our exercise, our movement, how we work with our energetic bodies. She teaches us to have balance and to move it in a graceful way. And so when I mean graceful, it means having loving, kind words to yourself. It means having loving words that you are trying. of an encouragement. So I always think when you're feeling very critical of yourself, imagine yourself that seed planted deep in the ground, and if I'm harsh and I'm not nurturing it, I'm not carrying it, is it going to grow? Is it going to move it into its potential to break out through that casing, to move towards the light, to grow, to thrive? No. You have to be very nurturing. You have to be very caring. You got to give it water. You got to give it sunshine. And you got to protect it sometimes. You know, if we know the weather's going to be harsh, we cover it up and give it some protection, and that's okay to do. So that's why rose quartz is one of my favorite stones. I literally buy it in the pounds. My other one we're working with today is clear quartz. Oh man, this stone, you know, people tend to discount the powerful energy of clear quartz. If you come into my healing space, I literally have quartz pointed in almost every direction because it's also a generator of energy. People don't realize that when you're working, like if you're doing meditation and you're just having a hard time connecting, put a rose quartz in both of your hands and move into that meditative state. Go into that place of clearing and centering. It just kind of amplifies that energy. It kind of brings in that support. Whenever I make certain products and tools, I'll charge it on top of quartz to give it that extra amp that we want to do. So it's considered a master healer. Did you hear that? A master healer. How cool is that, right? A master healer. It will amplify the energy, like I just said. And same when I talk about just just energy. We tend to think of energy of just, our energetic bodies, like our auras and our chakras and our meridians. No, it's also the amplification of our thoughts. Our thoughts are energy fields. They come out in strings and energy pieces. So it's learning how to work with those pieces to bring in balancing and harmony. And especially as we're planting these seeds of intention for the new moon, we want to amplify this. We want to boost it. We want to give it that extra energy so we can really move it forward. She also draws off negativity. So what do I mean by that? It's like sometimes we carry people's judgments or their voices or the heaviness of our workday, it's just taxing. And so just sitting with her can help release that so you're not embodying that into your physical body. I literally sit with the intention of just saying, hey, take this, I had this stressful situation, take it off. I don't want to carry this. I'm giving this to you. But it's important, if you give her something, you clear her, or you put her in some sea salt. Because what happens if we don't clear our rocks, I always tell people they're just like iPhones, okay? If we don't clear them and charge them, they're gonna break or they're gonna lose their essence and they're no longer gonna work. So that's why on a full moon, when you see that newsletter coming, to get all your crystal rocks and I call them my little crystal children, and put them in, the windowsill to get charged, or, to sage them, or, to put them in a bowl of sea salt so they get charged and they get cleared. And so they can do the work for you again, right? Because they do ask they're made to be our tools, to be our helpers. They will call forth. Like if you ever go to a rock store and you sit in front of a table, ask, who wants to come home with me? And you'll be surprised and who wants to jump out at you. Literally, I've had stones like roll down and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm taking you home. And I'm excited, especially when they do that, because they picked me. They picked me to work with. And so they're a beautiful tool and resource to work with. It can cleanse, other bodies, like if I feel like I'm being stuck in my vision, if I feel like my third eye's been kind of a little bit wonky or off, or I feel like I'm being judgmental, I'll just get my clear quartz and just kind of rub it right there into the center. Just clear it and ask it to take any negativity, to take any judgments that I'm projecting out, put it into a place of neutrality. And the same with my crown. And you always want to go clockwise. So when you think of, going clockwise, I always imagine, the 12 o'clock here, and then I can move in the direction of clockwise on the top. Okay? So I'm gonna get set up so we can do this water ceremony. I'll be right back. Hi, okay, let's get started for this ceremony and ritual today. For me, I'm calling in abundance. And so abundance can look like many things. It can look like, relationships, friendships. It could be, a fun job. It could be, money. It could be so many different things that were abundant in our life. Connection with family. But if there's one certain thing that you're calling in, write it down. If you want financial abundance, you're going to write financial abundance or financial prosperity. Or if you're looking for that job that you're wanting to call in, put down that job. Be very specific with it. This one's a little bit of broader range, just because I'm open to receiving whatever comes in. I always like to see what kind of little gifts and surprises I can get from Spirit, and I'm never disappointed, let me tell you. So you always want to, before you start any ceremony and ritual, you always want to set sacred space. And so today, we're going to use our bowl. And as I'm spinning this, I'm setting the intention only love and light is allowed to come in during this ceremony. That I connect to my higher self and that my guides work through me as a hollow bone to set these seeds of intention that I'm calling forth. Doesn't that feel so nice? Oh my gosh, I love sound. So now we're going to go into that heart space that we're talking about. And as we go into that heart space, think of something that brings you joy. Think of something that brings you harmony. And even though you may not be feeling it right now, it's okay to bring in those pictures and those moments. Okay, let's take a deep breath in. Pull in that joyful thought or memory. Just release. Again. Joyful thought or memory, and release. Now with this third breath, I want you to think about your intention that you're seeding today, that we're putting out not only into our physical body, but into our energetic space, through our auric field and through our chakras and our meridians, through our higher self and spirit. So pull in and think of that intention that you're calling forth. So breathe in. Pull that intention right into that heart space. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Visualize it. See it coming forth. Now breathe out. Okay, thank you. So we're going to light. I always work with green with the heart chakra, because the heart chakra is the color green. And people don't know, we actually have two heart chakras. We have the physical heart chakra, which is the color green, and then we also have one that's off the body a little bit, which is more around our spiritual, emotional body, mental body, which is our high heart chakra. And so that is usually where you get the color pink. And when you do work, and both of them are based around forgiveness. And it's a beautiful energy. It's just not about forgiveness of others. It's about forgiveness to ourselves. That it's forgiveness and being graceful with ourselves, like what we talked about earlier. So if you ever see the color pink, that's where that's coming from the heart chakra. So I just lit the candle. Now I'm gonna clear my stones. So you can always get a little bit of sage. And whenever I light sage, I want to set the intention of only love and light. And you got to understand, sage is very cleaning. It's that deep cleanser. So I get it burning. Set the intention of love and light in this space. Burn it. And then I'm just clearing the rocks. I'm resetting them. Okay. And I also want to do a little bit of my cups. And I give thank you to my beautiful candle. And now I'm going to put my clear quartz in there. And then I'm going to put my rose quartz in the water. And then this is where it's really important. So I got a piece of paper and I used a green pen because it's connected to the heart chakra. And I wrote the words abundance.
And so, like I said, abundance means many things to me. So I'm just opening up this wide door to see whatever is calling forth and coming in. And so when I hold this, I want to get it into the center of my palm, right underneath, because that's where your hand chakras are, right in the center of your palm. And this will connect straight into my heart chakra. And I want to think of the attendance of abundance. And so I'm going to put my other hand up in here, and I'm just going to say abundance and start thinking in my head, what does that look like to me? And visualize it. And I'm going to project that energy through my hands and into the water. So go ahead and take that time to do this now. Some people like to sing theirs. Some people like to do chanting or mantras. Whatever calls you, this is your ceremony. This is for you. You do what you're directed towards. And then I always give gratitude. Thank you for this beautiful energy. And then I'm going to pour a little bit of it into a cup. Cheers. Now it's going to embody into my body. It's going to communicate with my cells. It's going to communicate with my heart center. It's going to take that intention so I can generate that out from my heart chakra to call that forth and come in and bring that energy to myself. It was beautiful doing this trip. I hope you love this new moon energy and setting these new intentions and new beginnings for yourself. And I'm always enjoyed to have you in my life.